Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm usually host Joe Spawn and I'm joined by Tony Tones at RT. How are you, Tony?
Hello, I've got a very shiny car now.
Okay,
So
what's going
it's
on with...
all clean.
Oh my god, it's Cooper Born.
Exactly.
We were supposed to be doing this podcast earlier today, but
Yes.
my headphones died earlier today randomly just before we were about to record and I have no idea why. So I was waiting on the delivery for... I was getting a PS5 controller, which I have here, because I wanted a controller with a gyro in it for my emulating games, and I also wanted a second controller for when I play games with friends on the Steam Deck. And I don't have Bluetooth on my computer, so I got a Bluetooth dongle, but I have these Sony XM4s that I got like a month ago. I love them; they're fucking great. But I was just using them with my phone when I go out and stuff.
Yeah, you won't use them on
So
your computer.
I had to wait until I got the delivery of this Bluetooth dongle so I could hook up these headphones to my PC so I could use
Yeah.
them to record the podcast with because my USB dongle for my Pro X wireless Logitech headsets just fucking randomly died today, I guess. So,
I will say,
um,
this is kind of the reasons, like, in my opinion, like, you can disagree because there is a
yeah.
cost associated with it, but like getting a motherboard with Wi-Fi also is a motherboard with Bluetooth, and in my experience, Bluetooth add-in cards are utter trash, and the ones associated with the Wi-Fi card infinitely better, and I've just had way better
I don't
experience,
know. I've
but
had a
there's
I've
more
had a
expensive.
Bluetooth dongle I've plugged into my USB port and it's been fine. It cost about
Yeah, dongles are
15
fun.
quid or something.
Yeah.
It's
But
Bluetooth
it costs like
5.
only an extra £15 to upgrade a motherboard to Wi-Fi. So I'd rather just get that. But I guess you can move that along. So
Yeah, I can just unplug. I mean, I have a USB hub, so I can just unplug it and plug it into
yeah,
something else if I want to.
yeah, which is fair
Quite
enough.
quite useful.
I've had I don't know if I
If
can't
I
remember
start
I said.
shouting, I have A and C on now, so that's the reason.
You haven't got past
Dude,
me.
I tried A and C on my Jaybird Vistas, my working out headphones that I wear on my bike and stuff, and I hated it. And then I tried them on the Sony ones, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is how ANC is supposed to be." I put
Mm-hmm.
them on, and I just can't hear anything. It's great.
Yeah. Because I have the Sony earbuds. I can't remember the called, but like I really hate Sony's naming of products, but I have the earbud version of like your headphones basically, and yeah, the ANC is really good.
Yeah, the buds.
Maybe too good. Yeah, I can't remember. It has It's like XM 1004 or something. Actually, I can tell you it's on my Bluetooth devices on my phone. I can just look at
Yeah,
that.
because these are the 1000 XM4s, but I
Oh,
just the WH 1000 XM4s, but I just called them the
well, okay. Well, in that
XM4s.
case, the my ones are called WF 1000 XM3.
Okay.
Very easy to remember. It's like Sony. You need to get better names.
Yeah, because I used to just say, "Oh, the Sony 1000 WH 1000 X," but I just start calling the XM4s, the XM5s, the
Yeah, yeah.
XM3s. It's a
Absolutely.
lot easier that way.
Because like if because I guess for me like I call mine XM3 earbuds. I call yours XM4 headphones. It's like, that's what I'm gonna call them. Sony XM4 headphones.
But it's like so you may be saying, Joe, the XM5s exist. Why did you get the XM4s? Because the
Cheaper?
XM5s, well, the XM4s are £100 cheaper, and honestly, there's not
Yeah.
that much difference between the fives and the
I
XM4s are already very good.
yeah. I'm told that XM5s have even better ANC and sound
I
quality
think
and
they
like a
have
few
even
extra
better
features, but
ANC, and I think the inbuilt microphone is better.
yes,
But
that was
that's
the other
not
one. Yeah.
something I use. So
And I think there was better controls that you could do like more like the earbuds compared to older earphones. But other than that,
but
yeah.
I was just like, do
But it
I
was
need to
also
spend
worse
an
at folding.
do I need to spend an extra £100? No, not really.
No. Also, I prefer the look of XM4s.
So let's just quickly go into introduction. So let's go into games I've been playing quickly. What the
Oh,
turns it to you're subscribed with Prime Gaming. They've
Well, the
subscribed for
thing is,
7 months.
I was just as we're talking going through like the gifts with the Prime. I was like, oh, I probably should resubscribe as well.
There it is. You'll love to see it. Oh, there's a new emote you can type in the chat now, Tony, because they uploaded it. If you type Scorn Sims into the chat, you can. There's a brand new emote.
Okay.
There it is, Scorn Sims. I know it's like all the big streamers, like their most popular emotes are just pictures of their face, and I was like, I
Yeah.
should just put a picture of my face
Can
as a
I,
Twitch
can you
emote.
can you get animated or gifts, or is that not a thing
Yeah,
on
my
Twitch?
one currently is the monkey shake, but I'm only allowed
Well,
one at the moment.
oh, okay. Yeah, another one. Can you get your face on a frisbee? Shout out
Oh, that
to
spins.
yeah.
Yeah, so my friend made this face based on an image taken at a wedding that was very zoomed in, and I think it's so funny how low quality it is that it
Yeah.
makes me look like a Sims character. And it's just me smiling from a distance. And what was I going to say? My friend also got this printed out on a frisbee for some reason. I don't know. Shout out to
We got a
Calvin, I
custom
guess.
frisbee printed on it. Apparently, it cost him
Yeah,
$6.
you'll love to see it. Yeah, anyway, going into introduction, I've started listing off games I've been playing in the interim because we've been. I want to record more Tangerines so we can talk about more stuff. But
Yeah.
what I've been playing in the past couple of weeks, Tony, maybe I'll just tell you and then you pick one that you're the most interested in learning a
Yeah.
little bit about. I've been playing Cow the Kangaroo, Sludge Life, Super Mario Odyssey, and a really interesting Doom mod called MyHouse.wad. Which one of those intrigues you the most?
Well, I genuinely just look in my YouTube suggestion talked about the insides of that mod. Oh,
MyHouse.wad. I also saw
yeah,
the
I
YouTube.
don't get it.
Okay, so I got recommended MyHouse.wad. So if you don't know, .wad is the map file for Doom mods. So you would have like underhalls.wad. So like a WAD file is what the game loads to play maps and mods and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, Essentially, I watched the YouTube video that was saying, "Oh, this is really interesting mod. This really interesting Doom mod called MyHouse.wad." But it pretty much is spoiled the second you talk about it.
Right.
So they were like, "I recommend go into this completely blind." So I was like, "Oh, I got nothing else on. I'll just go into this completely blind." And I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" Um, I'll give you the basic story because this is included in the blog post. They said basically in the blog post on the Doom mod forums, they basically just say, "My friend died recently. I went back to town for his funeral. I found in his computer this Doom map that hadn't been finished. I went back and I finished it. It's one level and it's a recreation of his house. And you go into
Right.
the Doom map and it's a recreation of his house. And I don't know how much more you want me to tell you, Tony, about this,
Well,
but
I'm not gonna. Well, I'm not gonna play it, so like I don't
so
have. I'm not gonna
that's
really
the thing I wanted.
experience it.
That's the thing I was get. I as I was thinking about this after I played it, I was like, there's a 90% chance I think Tony would love the idea of what this mod's doing, but there's a 90%
Yeah.
chance he probably won't play it.
Yeah.
So I guess MyHouse.wad super fucking interesting. I'd highly recommend going in blind and just playing it.
Okay.
But spoiler alert.
Should I spoil this? Are we talking about here, or should we? Or have a dedicated video?
I'll definitely be talking about this on the mods of the year, but it might not have
Okay.
a dedicated video.
Well, should I add a
Because it's
spoiler
so
section here then?
yeah, add a spoiler section. I'll talk about it quickly. And I can just give the basic premise, and then I can go into more detail some other time.
Okay.
So you go into this house, and then you notice the layout of the house. It's like a very like retro house, and you essentially. So I'll tell you the way I played it. So I went to get the keys, which lets you get another key, and then you basically it's like a basic Doom level. There's monsters inside. You go and kill them. You get keys to unlock the door, and the exit to the house is blue. Is the blue key. You pick up the blue key and you exit it. and that's the end of the map. And I find it really funny because there's a high chance that a bunch of people who've never heard of this map played the map, exited the map, and went, "Oh yeah, that was just somebody's house," and they never interacted with it again. Like that was my first experience. Was, oh,
Right.
it's just a house. Um, but so then I went on to the second level of Doom, which is Underhalls. So I played through Underhalls. So this is based on Doom 2. I've only played Doom 1, so I played through Underhalls and I was like, oh, this must be an extension of the map. So I played through the entirety of Underhalls, and then it it should load into the next map of Doom 2, but then the mod actually loads you back to my house. So
Right.
I so I so I played through my house again. I got the blue key card. I was like speedrunning. I was like, I know exactly where these key cards are. I went back to Underhalls. And I was like, oh, I know where all the key cards are in Underhalls. I speedrun through Underhalls. So I was like, I was getting really good at playing Underhalls in my house because I was like, oh, I know exactly where to go. Um,
Yeah.
it wasn't until I went outside that I noticed that when you're inside the house, there's a garbage can and it has like a superpower up on it. And if you go outside, you go to pick up the superpower up, and you look back at the house, and the house now is repopulated with a bunch of enemies that weren't there before. But you can only see them through the window. But then when you go back
Right.
into the house, they're there and you fight them, and instead of collecting key cards, you start collecting skulls.
Okay.
And as you go through the house, it the geometry starts to make less and less sense. Like certain rooms that can't possibly exist start to appear.
Like
Uh,
in between where rooms
yeah,
can
and then there's
exist, sort
like
of thing.
you go into a cupboard, and instead of going into a cupboard, it now goes to an attic that can't possibly
Right.
exist inside the house because you've seen the layout of the house. And
Interesting.
I was like, this is fucking weird. Like the mod does like really weird stuff. Like I think no matter what, at 20 minutes into the mod, it plays a Discord sound notification just to throw you the fuck up. I was like, wait, why am I getting Discord sound notification? What's going on? And everything's like
Okay.
slightly like the music is remixed in a way where it's slightly off. Like
Like
it's the
discordance.
Doom 2 soundtrack, but it's like in a way where I'm like, so I keep going around this house because before I figured out there was this secret to it, I was like, I just kept going around this house. I was listening to this soundtrack, and I'm like, I'm just walking through the same fucking doors over and over again. I feel like I'm going nuts, and it just turns into like this liminal space, fucking like Eldritchian like horror game, and it is
Right.
just so interesting. And not only does it do like stuff that is really cool in terms of like a modern game where it's like playing around with liminal spaces and um, horror themes and insanity and psychological horror and stuff like that. But it also does stuff that's like impossible in the Doom engine, where it adds like water mechanics.
Oh, right.
Um, it adds like doors that don't open like normal Doom doors. It adds like doors that like creak open.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
eventually,
So,
yeah, go on.
like, is this like they programmed it in themselves, like these extra content, or is it like they just like use someone else's?
No, I believe they modded it all themselves. I mean, it runs in
Really? That's
GZ Doom.
crazy.
I knew something was up because it's called Doom.wad, and .wad you can play in like a toaster. But
Yeah.
I dropped it into GZ Doom, and it said your GZ Doom is out of date, and I was like, what the fuck? Why would I need like a current like my GZ Doom is from 2021? Why would I need a 2023 build of GZ Doom? There's like
Right.
why would I need the most cutting edge fucking version of GZ Doom to play this map? It's just a house, isn't it? Um, that's when I knew that there was something fucky about it. Um,
Right. You got some sus vibes from that.
um, but I highly recommend playing it, and I also highly recommend. There's a video I watched that got me into it. This is probably the one you're being recommended. Let me find it. Hour Packs video, myhouse.wad, inside Doom's most terrifying
How?
wad.
What's the length of it?
1 hour and 42 minutes with 1 second.
Uh, might I can't quite remember now.
Okay, maybe you can recommend a different video of myhouse.wad.
Yeah.
But he goes fully into it and he explains like, because included with the mod, there's a Google Drive and it's full of like um video. It's full of pictures and a journal that's to do with like the story of my house. And there's like It's also based on a book as well, called like House of Leaves. Which, if you've never heard, I'm guessing I've never heard of House of Leaves until I've heard of this. But House of Leaves is a really fucking weird and interesting book, and it's essentially like it's a fake story in a story about a family that discovers like this house that turns into like an endless labyrinth, and the structure of like the words become non-linear and you have to read it in different way, and it's super interesting.
Right.
Yeah, but so far myhouse.wad is like one of the most surprising and best mods I've played this year. It's fucking phenomenal, and I would highly
Okay.
recommend it to anyone. It's really, really cool, really, really interesting. you
I mean,
you, you
it sounds up my
you
alley.
picked the
Obviously,
most
Eldritch.
you pitched the most interesting one that's the hardest to talk about without spoiling.
Well, I already knew because I saw like a recommend on YouTube, so like minutes before we went live. So
Yeah. There's much more to it, and I'd highly recommend you watch the video, Tony, because I know you're not going to play it.
yeah, okay,
If I send you the link to the video, and then you can watch it after the podcast. Really fucking awesome. Yeah.
right. I'll end the spoiler section then.
Yeah, in the spoiler section. So I've got that. I said I got the PS5 controller, pretty cool. I got an electric air duster because
Oh yeah.
I was so tired of having to um, buy those compressed air cans whenever I clean out my PC or my keyboard or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I got this one, and holy shit, is it powerful! I was showing it to Tony briefly for the podcast, and I was like, "This is on the low setting," and it was just like going crazy. And I was like, "This is definitely too powerful." This is like when a man gets like a power wash,
Yeah.
the power washer, and he just starts like everything is dirt to be power washed. I'm just gonna go around
Yeah.
blowing everything, you
Well,
know?
when you have a hammer, everything's a nail. I believe is the saying.
Yeah, there it is. I don't think we're doing phrasing anymore.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been playing recently. That's what I got recently. Um, let's go into trailers because I try not to take up too much time at the beginning with my ramblings about video games and save that for Tangerine. But here we are. First up, we have Mouse. Toby, do you know under current copyright law, Steamboat Willie will actually enter the public domain on January 1st, 2024? I know
Really
Disney is
interesting.
really pissed about this. I think it's
They
fucking
have
hilarious
because I know
because,
there's like they haven't been able to like increase it anymore recently. Like they've been stuck where they got
yeah.
it before like stuck. So
But I
like
think
it
it's so
looks like
funny. It's like I want to see like the well, I know Chinese Disney World exists, but I want to see the real Chinese Disney World. I want to see Steamboat Willie World because
yeah,
how the fuck is Disney
possible.
gonna go? Oh, you can't use Mickey Mouse. It's like that's not Mickey Mouse. That's
Yeah.
Steamboat Willie. Like, is it gonna be the whole Winnie the Pooh? He's not wearing a
I
red
think
shirt situation.
well no, I
No.
think what's gonna I think okay, my understanding is like if you know like a lot of Disney like and I not really Pixar, a lot of Disney stuff is like based upon like the stuff the IP is like already in the public, right? But like their version of it is still
Yeah.
theirs though. So like if it looks like their stuff still, you probably can't use it.
But
I
the
think
reason I'm
it's
talking
only the
about Steamboat Willie
open stuff.
is there's a brand new game trailer, or well, tech demo trailer, I would say, of a game
Right.
called Mouse, which is essentially that old school Steamboat Willie art style, like Cuphead sort of style, but a
Yeah.
boomer shooter. And I'm like, this looks fantastic. I think this looks right up my alley. I love the art style of Cuphead, and I love boomer shooters. So sign me up. Like, absolutely fantastic. Um, Then
It's
next,
very
we
interesting.
have an update to Power Wash Simulator. We are getting a special DLC pack for Power Wash Simulator that's based
Oh,
on Bikini
huge.
Bottom. You can clean
Oh, I saw.
SpongeBob's house. You can
What happened
clean
to Squidward's
Squidward's
house?
house. You can clean the Krusty Krab. I can't wait. I think this looks
Wait, is that all
great.
the trailer was? That's the teaser. That's such a tease.
There's more. I think there's more information on the
Yeah,
blog
but
post
that's
they put
such a
out.
tease trailer. That's unbelievable.
Um, it's going to cost £6.50 for the pack if you want to play this. Because we've had because they said that basically they added free content post launch with the Final Fantasy VII free update and the Tomb Raider free content, but now they're going to do DLC free update going forward since
Right.
they've done the 1.0 release. But I think this looks really fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I would be tempted to buy this and play through it. I think that's really cool. Oh, Tony, what the car? This was announced like just at the end of the last podcast. I think I may have talked
Oh
about it
my
briefly,
god.
but
This looks great.
What the
Oh
Golf
my.
creators have created a brand new game called What the Car,
Oh
and
yeah.
it is essentially taking the spirit of weird puzzle game that somehow has to feature a random object like a golf ball or a car. But it is releasing as an Apple Arcade exclusive.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
That's
you'll only be able to
interesting.
play this on Apple Arcade. As someone who's played What the Golf on my iPhone on Apple Arcade, it's really good experience. So I'm sure this is going to be really fun for the people who have Apple Arcade. Like, I recommend Apple Arcade to most people, and I'll be looking forward to hopefully when this comes to PC as well, because I love What the Golf. So
Yeah.
I
For me
haven't tried.
personally,
I
World of
haven't
Golf was
tried
great,
what
but
the
this is even better.
I haven't tried What the Bat yet, their VR game, which came out late
Oh
last
yeah.
year. Um, yeah. Next up,
Yeah,
we
their humor's
have.
on point.
Oh, Tony, did you ever play like Achievement Unlock or There Is Only One Level? Do you ever play
No.
these games? I
No.
fucking loved these games on Armor Games, like playing Flash games.
Yeah.
And they're taking. Essentially, you would have like one level, and the objective of the game is to unlock every achievement in the one level. So you have to. Oh, kill yourself in this way or do this very specific thing. And it was basically like
Right.
sort of like a weird puzzle game, like action platformery game.
Yeah.
And essentially they've taken all of those games that were becoming deprecated through Flash, and they've gone, let's re-release them in one big collection on Steam.
Oh, okay. It's a collection of the actual old
Yeah.
games then.
And I think there's
Nice.
like maybe bonus content with the Steam version as well.
That's really cool that they did that.
JMB02, who I believe not only is because he made all these old games, but I think he went on to become the CEO of Armor Games, like the big
Oh, right.
Flash game
Okay.
website. Yeah, because he made
Interesting.
Achievement Unlocked, and this is the only level, and then he became like the CEO of Armor Games, where the website I personally use, where all these Flash games were
Yeah,
hosted.
a lot of people use it.
So, because I think Armor Games has been trying to move more onto like Steam now. That
Yeah.
Flash games are not as big. I think they're mostly like mobile, and then trying to move stuff over to Steam.
I think there is maybe not like a nostalgia wave yet, but I have seen like more and more things like almost emulating like this old Flash style. So I think there is kind of sort of a start of a comeback.
Yeah, yeah, they've definitely got quite a few games on. Like the Last Stand was a really popular Flash game that they've got on Steam. I would love to see like put as many old Flash games on Steam as you want because I
Yeah.
love this shit and I will play it again. I think this. I think I'll be picking this up. I love this collection of games, so definitely going to be checking that one out when it releases. Next up, we have uh, System Shock 2 Enhanced Edition First Look from Night Dive Studios. Tony, not to be confused with System Shock Remake that is coming in
Yeah,
Unreal Engine 4. This is the porting of System Shock 2 source code to the Kex engine to make a HD version
yeah, I
of
guess
System Shock 2.
This is the remaster. Yeah, there's using this other ones the
This is
remake of
trying to keep
remade
System
levels.
Shock 2 as faithful as possible, but running on
Yeah,
like modern PCs through the use of the Kex engine. And it's showing it like side by side, the old version of
it's
the
the small
game
one, the
with
old
the
one.
yeah. You'll see it like when you see the people on the screen.
Oh, okay,
Uh,
that's cool.
but I think
So
this
they
looks really
upscaled it.
good. It looks like a really good way to be playing System Shock 2. I'm sure many people will be playing this after the remake comes out because I think it's
Oh
coming
my
out
god.
in like a week or so. It's coming out at the end of May, so excited for that to release. Um, Next up, we have Portal Reloaded has announced a cooperative update. Do you remember
Oh
me
my god.
talking about this mod?
This is huge. What the hell?
Okay, so one, Portal Reloaded is a Portal 2 mod that adds the dimension of time to
Yeah, it's cool.
the Portal 2, and
It is very confusing though.
it's really confusing. I thought it was way too hard for me personally.
Yeah, so much we had
Um,
a joke of like people should just start with this one. It's clearly like a remake of the first game based on its name.
um, so I don't know how it's hard. This mod is like hard enough in solo. I don't know how the fuck you're going to coordinate two people through different time
Well,
dimensions. So,
maybe there's a spotlight involved, Joe.
oh god, no. I think we can.
That's
Okay, the beginning levels of this mod were like really fun, and then it
yeah.
just gets to
It's
a
like
point where it's just
teaching you the mechanics.
way too complicated.
Yeah.
And then we have Wizard of Legend 2. So Wizard of Legend was a 2D roguelike game. I've played this and I've talked about it on a Tangerine, I
Oh
believe.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah. We
a
talked about this.
you remember the cactus game
Yeah, yeah.
where I went cactus build? They're making a second one, but they're moving to 3D and they're adding co-op as well.
Oh, it's
Um,
co-op. Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so I think you can play up to 4-player co-op with different wizards, and I think the 3D graphics look pretty cool. So excited
It's
to
new
see.
Magica, guys.
It's the new magic. Well, I don't know if you have to press.
Four
It's like
wizards.
let me counter spell WSDFG. Like
Let
Magica
me
is
just crash the desktop.
yeah. Magica is its own special entity when it comes to
It
co-op
just finding it
games.
sus. Four wizards.
But yeah, I think the first I'm just praying they have cactus builds in this game. If they got cactus builds, then I'm in. I mean, that's all
I'm
I'm
just
gonna
trying to
say.
think like, is there going to be like where you can like synergize other builds with each other? That'd be great.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Let's hope they do that because that'd be really really
We've
cool.
got announcements, cancellations, and delays. Announcements we have Magic the Gathering Arena is finally coming to Steam on May 23rd, so that's 2
Thank God.
days from this podcast being live. Which I was like, I can't believe it's taken this long because it came out on its own separate launcher, and then it was like you could play it through Epic, and now it's finally through Steam. I don't know if I'm going to go back and replay this through
Yeah, that's
Steam.
the one where the trolls have. I can see your hand.
Hey, I can see your hand.
I really like. I guess the almost story
I
tutorial. I
like
quite
Magic.
like that.
I
That's
like
great.
Magic the Gathering Arena. I played quite a bit of it, but I don't know if I'm going to go back to it. It felt like very grindy to keep up with the
Yeah,
current cards people were playing in
I
Constructed.
think in a way it's kind of my problem with Magic the Gathering is like if you don't have like it's very
Like it was very
they have
obvious to
very
me.
powerful individual cards. You don't have that card like you just that you're weaker. And
It
it
was
just
very
sucks.
obvious to me that the best way to experience this game was not to grind for cards, but to get out the credit card, the most powerful
Yeah.
card. And
So just
I
like
was
real
just
Magic the
like,
Gathering.
no. But it's just like for me personally, if I can grind and I'm enjoying it, there's a potential I will grind. But if it, if the game's like, look, you can spend money and just skip this, and then you can have fun, it's just like I'd rather just play something else. To be
Yeah.
honest with you,
I think
that's why
Hearthstone
I
is
love
better.
Hearthstone Battlegrounds because
Yeah.
Blizzard accidentally made the most free to play friendly card game on the internet. Where you literally don't have to pay for anything. Every game is completely like fresh
I
and
think
random.
I think even the normal Hearthstone, I know like normal Hearthstone has like the credit card is the best card, but I still think it's a better model than Magic the Gathering has. So yeah, I think Hearthstone
And then
wins
let's talk
them.
about cancellations. Dying Light Bad Blood has been delisted from Steam. Tony, do you remember Dying Light Bad Blood?
Uh, no.
Don't worry,
Should
because
I?
nobody does. I do
What the hell
remember
is
this.
this?
I don't know if you remember this, but Dying Light actually made a uh,
The Battle
zombie
Royale?
battle royale game. Yes,
What?
back in 2018, when battle royale games were all the hype, they
Yeah.
made this weird like PVE battle royale zombie game, and I remember looking at it and going, "Man, that's gonna exist for like 20 minutes, and then people will get
Mm-hmm.
bored of that." Speaking of games that are being cancelled, there's another battle royale game that's being cancelled. Not a zombie battle royale
Peggy
game,
18.
a vampire battle royale game.
Listen,
Um,
I won't bother.
So I don't think this has even been out that long. The
why does the
vampire
main character at the start look like Wesker? What's going
does, doesn't it?
on?
Um, but everyone was pretty much waiting for Bloodlines 2, and then they were like, "Here's Blood Hunt." This is the one, right?
Yeah.
Um, Everyone's like, "Oh, okay." Is this the one I'm thinking of? Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt, right? Yeah. So this is Vampire.
This is
Everyone was like,
the
"We're waiting for Bloodlines 2," and they were like, "No, no, no, have a Vampire Battle Royale game."
well,
Uh,
Bloodlines 2 is in development hell right now,
and
so
there's a bit of a theme going on at the moment. Pac-Man
well,
99
vampires being
is
bad games.
Pac-Man 99 is ending services this October. Pac-Man Battle
No.
Royale game is being cancelled.
I thought you were going to point out that a lot of vampire games that came out either recently or before are bad and no longer being
No, the
supported.
theme is that creating battle
Battle
royale games to
Royales.
chase the hype is not a good idea.
Well, I still think most vampire games are bad, and that sucks because I love vampire games.
Let's move on to releases. Darkest Dungeon 2 released on the 8th of May. I don't know if you've seen anything about this. I
No, I've not.
I don't think I've seen anything about this, but it seems like quite positive from what people have reviewed on Steam.
Yeah.
What I've heard about this actually is people are saying like if you hated Darkest Dungeon 1, you might love this, because I think apparently it's supposed to be very
Okay.
different than the first
Right.
Darkest Dungeon. So it seems like if you didn't like Darkest Dungeon 1, maybe you will like Darkest Dungeon 2. Maybe if you like Darkest Dungeon 1, you might dislike Darkest Dungeon 2. I don't know. It looks alright. I've heard
That's
Darkest
good. Yeah.
Dungeon is one of those games where you play it and it makes you just want to fucking
Oh,
do a flip.
sorry.
Like,
Yeah,
like
it can be.
it can be like a very rage-inducing game. So
There's certain things that can combine this. Like, why has this happened? It's like why. But I don't know. In a way, that's kind of part of the fun, though. But I guess if they
yeah,
remove that in the second one, I'm
Tony, I
still
put
down
something
for it.
on the new releases
I
list
can't.
for you.
That is a terrible move. I hope you're waiting for an entire section.
Stellaris Galactic Paragons released
Yeah,
on the
this is like the
9th of
biggest.
May.
This is the big. The DLC. Okay, the DLC is one thing, but it's also like the biggest update to Solaris in quite a
Oh, is it
while.
actually? I had no idea what this
Yeah.
was. I just saw Stellaris on releases and I said, Tony will talk about that.
I will. I won't go into too much detail, but I'll quickly explain what's happened. They've overhauled the leader system.
Okay.
um, I- there's now I can't remember what other games have this. I guess some Civ 6 kind of has this, where there's depending on what government you build out, it's not done this quite the same way. But in
Yeah.
Civ 6, depending on the government type, you have like different leaders you can have, and you can like feel like governors and things like that. So yeah, they've now had they've added a hard cap to how many leaders you can have. You can like increase it with like technologies and policies. There's also now like in the DLC itself, there's like special leaders, like hero leaders basically.
Right.
And then you have like a council now. So they like overhauled the council system with the leader system, and then like there's like you can't realistically you can't always fill up all the jobs in your government anymore. That's you have to like kind of pick and choose what benefits you want, and also different leaders will combine with these, I guess, roles and like give you like different outputs. So it's
Mm,
like before, like just as an example, before there's always been like three different research trees you could research at the same time. Like you had engineering, society, and physics, right? Before you would have three leaders for each one of those to do that to be able to do that research, and obviously you start with the game with those three scientists. Now you start the game with only one scientist, and that one scientist does all of them, but they can upgrade with the DLC. You can actually choose how they upgrade them. In the default game, it's more random upgrading and they're not as powerful.
right.
But there's a lot more. The cap for power of what a leaders can do in association with your empire is a lot higher now, and it's like completely different. And it's kind of insane. I've not played it yet. I've got a
I was gonna
game going. I
say,
had to
I think
backdate it to the older version.
I think the last time I talked to you about Stellaris updates and DLC, you said you hadn't like played a lot of the new DLCs and
No,
updates, and you needed to catch
I
up.
have so the last. It wasn't okay. One thing to be clear here: the last time I talked about Solaris wasn't that long ago. First Contact only came out like a month or maybe 2 months ago at most.
What? The Star
But they,
Trek DLC only came out a
yes,
month or
it
so
was
ago.
based on. It was generally based on like Star Trek, like First Contact and like Prime Directive ideas.
Yeah.
But that's like more of a story pack, and this was like they were working. They had like two teams working on it like, at the same time.
Usually, what I
Um,
do is I like like in Men in Black, they have that the little
the little
stick that makes you
yeah,
forget.
the flag.
That's what I
I
do
can't
every.
remember what it's
That's
called.
what I do for my Stellaris memory. So I just flash myself with a stick and I go, oh, I don't have that information anymore.
Well, there's no need for you to have it. So,
Yeah.
but no, it's crazy. Like
Don't
first
worry,
contact came out,
Tony.
and it was like not much update.
I'll be talking about Overwatch 2 for like an hour. So take as
Oh,
much time as
okay.
you need.
It's like the old days. You talk about Overwatch 2 and I talk about Solaris. Well,
Yeah.
I thought like Space Ninjas updates back in the day, right?
Oh, fucking space. I'm glad you don't talk about Space Engineers anymore. That game sucks.
I still wish Space Ninja was good, but I do have to agree. There's no game. It's just a creative game. Anyway, Solaris. Yeah. So this was like announced at the start of May, basically, and then came out like 2 weeks after they announced it, and it was
Yeah.
kind of and it's like such a huge update, and then they basically put out this update. There's like they apparently put stuff in that's like arguably overpowered, but they want to see like how it's overpowered and see how people play with it to then like balance it later for future
Yeah.
updates because like, this is such a huge overhaul of the game or well, overhaul of a certain section of the game. So it's like it's kind of huge. I really want to play, but I have not. Okay, so like I have not got Toxoid's First Contact or Galactic Paragons, so like I need to catch
Okay.
up and play these. Like one of them is just a species pack, the other one is a story pack. This one's actually a pretty big pack that I do really want. So I don't know why it has mixed reviews, but I don't know. People
Quite
always saying it's
well.
overpowered or
The whole
something.
point of the releases is we can go and check the reviews and see what people are saying.
Mm.
So, well, I love this game. I always look forward to new updates and DLCs. This one was by far the worst. I would strongly advise people not to get it in its current state. The leader cap feels incredibly low, and the punishments for going overboard are too severe. It almost feels like the developers want to prevent players from growing their galactic empires to the fullest, since now we are limited to a handful of systems and planets, because it will be rather challenging, if not impossible, to maintain a
Can
large empire, which pretty
I
much
would
takes
like
the
to
fun from trying to establish a vast galactic empire.
I would like to point out I completely disagree with how they've interpreted the system. I
Well,
don't actually know what the
when you have a bigger empire, you have a stat called Empire Sprawl, is it?
yes. So it will have that as well. I don't know what the cost is. So there's a cap, right? So I think at the start of the game you can get
Right.
6 leaders, which is admittedly quite small, especially for the start of the game. I think that's a valid, potentially a valid criticism. I need to play it myself, but it's not like you can go above the cap, but you'll start having energy or like unity or like you have resource penalties for going above the cap. The point of this is the idea is like there's an empire sprawl system as well. The idea is that if you go bigger than you're meant to, you have to fund it in some way. So for another example is like you have a fleet cap. You can build stations to be able to increase your fleet cap, but you can go over. It will just cost you a lot to be over it. It's kind of so the idea is that you can go big, but it will cost you to do that effectively. I don't think the point. I think they're looking at the council and going, "Oh, every role needs to be filled." That's not true. It's meant to be a choice. You're meant to go.
Right.
I've only got 6 leaders. I need scientists and science ships. I need a lead. I need an actual leader of the government. I need someone in charge of the actual science research. And I have like only then like 3 spaces left. Like you need to then decide. This is at the start of the game. You then need to decide like what priorities you want for your empire. I think if you just filled up every slot with everyone, like it defeats the purpose of the update.
Well,
So
the person here says, "Please give us back an opportunity to be able to grow a mammoth of empire without being afraid that if some Bob the Taxman from System Gamma would suddenly die because he choked on a grape, then your entire Imperium crashes because nobody knows how to properly file their I-99s," which I think sounds fucking hilarious.
yeah, so what he's referring to, so governors, you can
Yeah,
put them in charge of sectors. That's one thing they've overhauled in the update, by the way. They've made sectors back being less shit.
yeah.
Governors have special abilities to improve the jobs in their sector, and if they suddenly die, you then so if your economy is based like if you're like this happens like because it's a very economy based game. If you've like stacked it in a way where it's that you've like made it like super efficient and like your governor's like the only reason why you're not like losing food, for example, and then he dies, and suddenly your output from these food plants have decreased, you're down in a deficit of food. I would argue
Mhm.
that's a very good thing, and I would argue you need to be better at production. I guess I'm saying is get good, maybe. Again, I haven't played it. I
Oh,
don't want to like hate on them too hard, but to
get
me, this sounds
good.
amazing.
You
They're putting
heard
up
that,
content. I'm going,
AWOL
this is
man.
great.
Get good, son.
Yeah.
Tony's going to come onto this review and give it the clown emoji.
Yeah.
What is it? You can do like the Steam Point Shop like clown thing. Is it a clown you can react to it with?
Someone's right with a dinosaur? What is that like? Oh, you're in the old way.
I think dinosaur's clever, or at least that's what it says on the thing.
Right.
But
Okay. Well, I don't disagree. I don't agree with that review. I think there's like some of the band's numbers. Again, I've not played with, but like the actual concepts that they're talking about, I disagree with. So. Oh, one thing in the DLC I should mention, and I think this will be the last of it. Technically, they've added a civic, but something that you start the game with that you choose, like Origin. You can technically role play as, let's just say, like a Warhammer 40k like Emperor sort of build now in the DLC, which I thought was really cool.
yeah, cool.
But yeah, I don't want to go like they've changed a lot of the subsystems that I've probably forgotten, like in relation to like factions and leaders and things. But yeah, it's kind of crazy like what they've done.
Oh,
You try and find the clown,
it's called the Jester. It's called the Jester.
right? You can add it.
No, wow. I've only got like 178,000 Steam points. I've got to keep them safe. I have no idea. I have no idea if this is a good take or whatever. I thought it was at least funny. A funny award because I like the part about the guy choking on a grape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I disagree with this take, but yeah, the way that your leaders will sometimes die from like events. I think in the new system, and
Right.
yeah, I guess they can randomly die from like eating something, which I think is hilarious. And to me, as a part of the game, because like to me that adds
Well,
more complexity to the game
I
to
I
do
think
stuff with
like the idea of
your
having this
resources.
giant galactic empire and then it completely collapsing because one person fucks up in this giant government is kind of a
Yeah,
interesting idea.
yeah. I in my opinion, this will make like wide empires more interesting, and also balance wide empires. At the moment, wide empires are quite powerful.
Yeah.
I think this balances it in quite a nice way because that
Well, because
you
you have
almost
like
need to have sector governors.
what's it called? The Fallen Empire.
Yeah, foreign empires are like the idea is that they were these huge empires. Now that they're left with just like one tiny sector, but they have they're still like really like technologically
Yeah.
advanced. But yeah, they're fallen empires.
But
Oh, I guess as well I should mention. They've in I think in beta now. I think anyone can do this, or maybe you have to request it. But they're in beta testing the co-op mode of Solaris. That's worth mentioning.
what is Stellaris co-op mode?
Exactly what you think. Two
Uh,
people or more can play one empire.
so do you all take actions independently, or do you have to vote on decisions?
No, you just do it at the same time.
So if an event pops up, who controls the event?
I think
The
I
first
think
person to
both.
click it?
Yeah, basically, first person to
Okay.
click.
Okay.
I don't think it's meant to be like. I think it would be cool to have like a competition version, but like yeah, like it's like internal politics. That'd be really cool. But I think this is like early days, just trying to get it to work. And I 100% think this is necessary to like teach new players how to play. Like it's very difficult to teach new players how to play if two people can play one empire and like the I guess the veteran can take the slack is like very good.
Yeah. I think that's
So
good, but like teaching people to play will be a
yeah,
lot easier with this
so you
co-op mode
can
now.
technically do like 2v2 or I guess like two but like two people. I think it's up to 8 people and like you can like have it can be like asymmetrical sort of thing, whereas like two people can play one empire, one person can play one, 3 people can play another one sort of thing. I think
Mm.
it is in very early stages, hence why it's in beta. But I think what
Yeah,
I've
it
heard is that
sounds
people like it, but it's just a bit buggy.
sounds good. Uh, 'Cause we have Torchlight Infinite came out on 10th of May. I don't know if you remember this, but it's made by our good friends at XD over there.
XD.
I think Torchlight got bought out by like Chinese investors, and then Torchlight 3 came out in like early access, and lots of people didn't really like it. Off this, like they had such big strength of Torchlight 1 and Torchlight 2, and then it
Yeah.
felt like it was very much just a early access for the microtransactions. This has basically gone full microtransactions. It's a free to play version of Torchlight, just full of microtransactions, basically. And it seems like people are not very happy about it. They've said,
No.
fun games, it can be enjoyed free to play, but a lot of characters are hidden behind paywalls. Half the game is clicking close notification and claim reward. No need to worry about all that limited FOMO content if you don't play this garbage cash grab. You know what would sell making an actual Torchlight 3 that isn't trying to rip us off and isn't a mobile game? Second Torchlight in a row that is a complete failure. People
Yeah.
are not happy about it. Because I fucking adore Torchlight 1. I think it's a
Yeah.
fantastic game. I've
Hmm.
played some of Torchlight 2, and I think it's pretty fun. But it seems like, yeah, people just don't like the direction they're going with Torchlight at the moment. Will these people be Diablo players up next month? June 6th, Diablo 4 is coming out. We'll see if some of those ARPG players move over. We'll have to see.
Probably.
Far Cry 6 came out on Steam on the 11th of May. I put this up here because I know a friend of mine was waiting for this to come to Steam for some reason. I honestly can't tell the difference between Far
Wait.
Cry games at this point, other than
Well, Joe has a demo. We have to play it.
it's got Gus from Breaking Bad in it. That's what I know.
Okay. Not as Gus, I
Why has it
assume.
got mixed reviews? Is it got Steam achievement? Wait, let me show you if it's got Steam achievement. Uh, no, it doesn't have Steam achievements again. Okay.
I think there is problems with Far Cry because I think every major Far Cry number like after 4 is basically like
Somebody said
made
I'm
it homogenized experience.
having an okay time with this game, and then Ubisoft Connect butted in, closed my session, and then saves were deleted. Eat my ass,
Oh
Ubisoft.
yes, it's always on. It's always online.
Fucking
Like
Ubisoft,
to
man.
play a single player game, it's always online.
Somebody said I can't even play with both my friends because it's two-player co-op. So it's not even four-player co-op.
What the in current year it's only 2 player co-op. That Wizard game was 4 player co-op. What the hell?
Imagine releasing a Halo game without four-player co-op. I mean, Halo said they would never do that again. I mean, surely they would never do
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't
think
know.
you can
I'm
release
not that
co-op
interested in
game
this.
4 player. Yeah, I'm not interested in it. 4 is the
Humanity
last one they
came
came
out on
out.
the 16th of May. I don't know if you remember. This is like
Yeah, I
you
do
play
remember
as
this
a
one.
Shiba Inu, and you
Shiba
have to.
Inu.
It's a puzzle game where you have to direct the flow of people to
Yeah.
solve puzzles. It's like a weird game. It was like shown off on the PS5. I think it's like a big PS5 game, but it's also come to PC. And it also has a VR mode, which I'm like, because I think you can play it
Oh
on
yeah, that's what I was
PSVR
playing out.
too. It was like one
Yeah.
of the titles of PSVR 2. I don't know. I think this game looks. It's one of those games where it's like it looks really fucking weird, but I don't know if I would like it. I mean, it's VR. It's a VR game, so I got to pick it up at some point. But yeah, I guess this is my weird VR game of the week is Humanity. So there you go.
Weird puzzle game of the week. Yeah.
H-Rot is officially released on the 16th of May. It's just released out of early access. We played that. I played this on a
Yeah.
Tangerine, and I
I
love
remember
this.
this.
And
Very brown.
I played this before Quake, and I was like, oh, it's like a boomer shooter, 3D boomer shooter. It's very like gray and dirty and bleak. And I was like, when I saw the trailers, I didn't get it, and then I played it, and I was like, it's really fun. And now I've played Quake, and I'm like, this looks fucking amazing. Like, I really get what this is going for now. It's like
Right.
this. It's like this Slav Quake is what I
Yeah.
will call it. Where you have like
Radioactive
fucking
Quake.
horses in gas masks and
Oh
riding
yeah,
around
I've
on
got the horses and
scooters and
gas.
stuff. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed the demo when I played it, and I picked up the full game, and I was thinking, I'm currently getting 999 moons in Super Mario Odyssey, which is the 100% completion of the game. I got like 720 at the moment. And I was like, what's the next game I'm going to play? And I saw, oh, H-Rot is releasing it of early access soon. I was like, I should play through the H-Rot campaign because it's fully finished. So maybe I'll be playing H-Rot after I finish playing Super Mario Galaxy. Starship Troopers Extermination came out. It's the co-op FPS. It's like the Left 4 Dead style Starship Troopers game
That's
came
cool.
out,
I think
and
you well received. Okay.
it says you can play 16-player co-op.
What?
Yeah, that's what it says.
I mean, there's a lot of bugs you might need. That I actually really want to play this.
It's got very positive reviews so far, so that's good
Yeah,
to see.
I've not actually seen anyone play this or talk about it
So
like on
it
like
is in
YouTube
early
or anything.
access right now. The
Yeah.
devs blatantly placed way too many bugs into this game and expect them to sort them out. I'm doing my part. Would you like to know more? So that's obviously
That's funny. That's a good one.
right. Hit the funny on the helpful. 17 Jester. You know what, Tony? We will give it a Jester award. This award has
It deserves.
successfully been granted. There we go. 18 Jester awards for that comment.
I will say it looks, even though it's early access, it looks like they've like at least like they didn't like put it out really early access,
Well,
like that they like kind of waited for
based on
substantial
that logic,
content.
Deep Rock Galactic is also full of bugs. So,
Yep. They need to get rid of those bugs.
somebody said needs a bit more weapon variety, sound emotes like Deep Rock Galactic, and a dedicated commander like they had in Battlefield years ago. Scratches that nice PvE itch. Yeah, I like these sort of games. One that I got in a humble choice recently and I wanted to play was the Alien, like Left 4
Oh
Dead
yeah,
game.
yeah.
I downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet. I was going to play it with a friend and we never got around to it. Um, so yeah, I'll try that out at some point. But
I'm
yeah, this looks really cool.
another Starship games like the RTS what's that one called? The RTS
I don't
Terran
know.
Command.
Don't ask me about
Yeah,
RTS
Terran
games.
Command. I'm ready. I want to play this game as well. It's like I'm kind of glad that like Starship Troopers is kind of like a thing, a franchise people are making
Uh,
games for now. It's
yeah, I
interesting.
mean, I've only ever seen the first Starship Troopers movie. I don't know how many there is, but I really liked
That's the good one.
the first Starship Troopers movies when I
Yeah,
watched it. Like not that long ago, I
it's
watched it like maybe like 5 years ago or something like that. The first time I ever saw
right.
it, I thought, oh, this is pretty good. Why is everybody living in fucking Brazil or wherever the fuck they are? This is kind of weird. And why is everyone showering together? But other than that, yeah,
Don't question it. Don't question it.
I'm doing my part. Next
I
up,
love
we have
the
the
propaganda.
Outlast Trials came out. This is the co-op survival horror, like Dead by Daylight sort of game, I believe. Or I don't know if wait, is it asymmetric horror? Let's have a look.
That's co-op in the people put co-op in
I
what
think it's just cut.
PVE?
It may just be like PVE
Oh,
sort of
okay.
thing.
Wow, that sounds great
But
as well.
I remember when this was announced like fucking years ago. It was announced like I don't know,
Oh,
like
Steam Deck verified.
2 years ago or something like that. I was like, we need more co-op horror games because Dead by Daylight is like the
Yeah.
only one. that
Yeah.
exists, and here it is. And it seems like it's got pretty positive reviews. Lots of people are
I want
saying, "I love
to play
slamming
this.
doors on my friends. This is the best game to slam doors on my friends."
I guess if you're scared, you're gonna slam doors on your friend. I guess. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I mean, I think there's lots of like types of games that needs to be more co-op experience of. I think it is difficult to develop for sure, but it's great that it's just come out.
People keep
It seems
saying,
to be
"Just
well
don't play the fun
positive.
park, and you'll have a great time." What is the fun park?
What?
I don't know. I'm gonna look that up. Outlast Trials Fun Park.
In
Is
this
that
video, we're gonna
spoilers though? Is that a reference to?
The fun park requires you to complete several tasks, such as playing carnival games to earn tickets in order to get inside the carnival's main attraction. I guess they're saying it's hard or it's annoying. Or, I don't know. I
Some
don't
sort of
guess
like mini game annoyance,
I don't
maybe.
know. Maybe we'll have to try it and find out. But I'm
Well,
excited to try the Outlast Trials. Looks pretty fun.
totally early access, I suppose, but it looks
Okay,
good.
Tony. This came out May 18th. May 19th. Lego 2K Drive came out. Me and you were so excited for a new Lego racing game,
Yeah.
and we immediately said, "It's 2K. How are they going to fuck this up?"
How they fight up, Joe.
Okay. So from what I read the reviews a couple of days ago, and a lot of people were basically saying the game itself is okay. Like it's good racing game, I would say,
Yeah.
but it's just absolutely filled to the brim with microtransactions.
Some people
I
say
think
it's
I
like very
think
like what content is there is quite short if it wasn't for like the padding.
I think I read a post the other day. I see if I can find it, but they were basically saying that the amount of currency you get for winning an online race by being free to play meant that it would take you like 600 hours or something to basically earn enough currency to get a DLC card that you could just buy otherwise with the microtransactions. It was like something crazy like that.
Yeah. They should have
Um,
made it a single player co-op like online experience
I
or
think a lot,
whatever.
I think a lot of
Like
people as
like Forza
well are
Horizon.
saying like it's annoying that it's predatory because a lot of kids are going to want to be playing this game. Like
Oh yeah.
Lego's very popular
That's
with
awful.
kids as well, so that sucks. I mean,
I mean
I
it's
look at
it's it's rated 7
just
plus.
me.
Like it's like
I look at this game and I'm thinking maybe on like a deep sale, and I just try and ignore the transaction stuff, and maybe there's like a Game of the Year edition that goes cheap that
yeah.
has some of this other content in it. But
I
this
just feel like
is
they've shot themselves in the
disappointing
foot though. Because like they're
because
not
it's like
I
all I was gonna say was people were saying like, yeah, another racing game bogged down by
Mhm.
transactions. Like, is Sonic All Star Racing Transformed, a game from 10 years ago, still the best kart racing game on PC? And as somebody who's been playing a lot of these kart racing games, yeah, Sonic All Racing Transformed is probably the best kart racing game on PC. I
Yeah.
mean,
But imagine if they actually made this like a Forza Horizon game. Like it's made the Lego version of that. That would have been
it
great.
just reminds me of like Disney Speedstorm. I thought the racing in that
Mm,
was pretty good. It had good animations, good music, good character models. The racing was decent, and then it was like, and here's pay to win microtransactions in
yeah.
ranked online, and it's just like, oh, what are you doing?
It
Okay.
sucks. If they
And
just
then
made like a Horizon oh, yeah, for Forza Horizon, then they could have just sold a lot more copies. I feel like they're not going to make their money back.
yeah. So an hour into the podcast, let's talk about quick news.
It's
Microids has announced their adaptation of Agatha Christie's classic Murder on the Orient Express. I thought I'd mention this because Microids also published Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, which apparently got turned into a game. Uh, but they're not stopping there with classic films. They're turning Murder on the Orient Express into a video game as well. Set in 2023, the video game will bring the classic tale to life in a way that will surprise even the most dedicated fans. With brand new elements added to the original story, players will experience the mystery and suspense like never before. Tony, did you have Agatha Christie video game on your bingo card for 2023?
no, unfortunately not.
Damn, me neither. Right. Devolver has announced that they will be doing a Devolver Direct in June. There will be a E3 style parody award show
Thank
thing
God.
that they're doing again, which I love to watch. Fall Guys
I mean, not
season
as good as it was originally, but still good.
Fall Guys season 4 has, and we're getting close to June, and June will be E3 season. Even if E3 is cancelled, there will be a lot
Yeah.
of
It's game announcement season.
game announcement season. So we will be doing a big podcast wrap up of that whenever the announcements come out. Fall Guys season 4 has come out, and it's launched with creative construction. So this is the brand new game mode tool that lets you make your own maps inside Fall Guys, which I'm like, that was a really cool idea that should have been in the game from the beginning. Because
Yeah, when did this game come out? 2020?
yeah, something like that, a couple of years ago. And it's added some brand new custom-made Fall Guy maps made by the creators themselves. I'm trying to remember what the devs of Fall Guys are called off the top of my head. Let me look it up. I shouldn't. I feel like I know this. Mediatonic. Yeah, I did know that. I have not played the new maps yet, but Fall Guys is one of those things where I always go back to it after like a new season drops, and I just play the new maps with friends. I still love the game, I just don't play it that regularly. Emulation Retro. Tony, did you know Sonic Frontier? So I'll preface it with saying normally I don't talk about games and how much they sell. One, because I don't really care, and two, because it's quite boring.
Yeah.
Like, I see these posts on Reddit all the time, and I always just hide them and ignore them. It's just like, popular game sells 2 million units, and I'm like, okay, now what? Like,
I don't know. I do find that interesting. Like, see, like what games actually were popular, like what people are liking about, and like how successful they've been.
okay,
I personally do find that interesting. But
I
that's a fair
personally don't find them
response.
interesting, but Sonic Frontiers hits 3.5 million, Tony. But the thing that was interesting to me in this emulation retro section is that it actually surpassed Sonic Heroes as the best-selling 3D Sonic title. Did you know
What?
Sonic Heroes was the best-selling 3D Sonic title?
Makes sense. It was the only good one.
Now, let me ask you this question, Tony. How is
Right.
Sonic Heroes was previously the best-selling 3D Sonic game and has yet to have a modern port made of it? We got a modern port of Sonic Colors on Steam and Epic, but we have yet to get like Sonic Heroes is in such an awful state on PC.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
insane. The best way to play it is just to emulate like the GameCube version, I think. So
Well, I own Sonic Heroes still as a physical copy, so I have no problem emulating it.
yeah.
Yeah, it is insane. Like, it'd be good to see it actually be made properly. Sonic thing.
Next up, we have Doom 2 RPG has finally been released on PC. If you remember, I think it was earlier this year or the previously before. There's a Doom RPG game on the phone that got finally ported to PC, so you're able to play it now. And they made a Doom 2 RPG game, and that's been fully ported to PC, so you can play that mod and experience that unique Doom game on your PC, which is really cool to see. And
Yeah.
we have this post from Yuzu, who is one of the main Switch emulators. And I don't know if you've heard about this, Tony, but Tears of the Kingdom got leaked a week early.
Oh, yeah.
And pretty much it kind of split the emulation community in half because half of the people went, I'm not going to play this is piracy, I don't want to be involved with this. And then the other half were like, I want to just try and get this game to run as quickly as possible. Both Yuji and Reginix throughout this entire like week early period were like, do not post about this, do not link to this, we don't agree with this, we will not talk
Yeah, I
about
think
it.
legally it's like even more legal problems than normal.
I also agree with them. Like, I think like earlier, like the early leaks is probably best left alone for most people, and just wait for it to come out and then play it that way. But interesting thing is, Breath of the Wild ran like shit for the longest time on Switch emulators. I think, the best way to experience Breath of the Wild, thanks to its healthy modding scene and the longevity of its emulation, is to play it on Cemu, which is the Wii U version, which I was um, I was playing around with recently. I 'Cause I wanted to see like how you could mod it and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, here's Breath of the Wild in 1440p, 120 FPS, with like HD icons through Game Banana mods. And then I also downloaded a mod that replaced all the motion control shrines with alternative versions that are new puzzles that don't require motion controls, which I was like, that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
But anyway, lots of emulators got scared because of the leak, because Nintendo went ham, like blocking people. They even took down which is the weirdest fucking shit. They took down a tool for legally dumping your ROMs off your Switch into an emulator, which is like the weirdest thing to take down. But
it just goes to show they don't actually care about the law, the legal team at Nintendo.
But as soon as Tears of the Kingdom came out, I think it was like a couple of days, maybe a day or two after it came out, they basically just said, hey, all the people playing Tears of the Kingdom at 30 FPS, 720p on a Switch, you can play Tears of the Kingdom on Yuzu at 4K 60 FPS already. Like, they just came out straight and said it. I just find it crazy that we're at a point where new Switch games are releasing and it's already capable of playing them at high resolution, high frame rate on a PC rather than having to emulate them on a Switch. I think that's like a crazy time. And I think when I come around to playing I recently played my first Zelda game, which was the Switch version of Link's Awakening, which is fucking phenomenal. I love that game. Masterpiece game. But for me, I'm more interested in like the light heart Zelda games. I'm like
the older ones.
Yeah, so I got the PC port of Ocarina of Time running. So I was running Ocarina of Time at 120 FPS with 1440p resolution, joystick camera controls, which is like fucking huge. Like I was streaming to you showing how, if you don't know this, the Ocarina of Time is the best reviewed game of all time on Metacritic, I think it is, and the original game runs at 20 FPS, and seeing it run at like 120 is just like I think it's like through interpolated frames is how they did it. It's just like fucking nuts on the PC port.
It looks smooth.
I was playing through the Ship of Harkanian build, which is the recommended build to playing the native PC port. So for me, looking at Breath of the Wild nuts and bolts, it looks like a really cool game. But if I'm going to go back and play a Zelda game, I think I'm more interested to check out the likes of Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker is a game that really interests me. I think that game looks really awesome.
I was going to say, you don't watch Short Circuit, Linus Tech Tips offshoot. So in one of the recent videos, Linus said like he really likes Breath of the Wild and was really looking forward to this new one, and got like a new. They released a new Switch with like a wrap on it basically, like from Nintendo.
Have you seen the new D brand skin?
Yes, yeah, they were comparing it in the video.
Oh my god, that's funny. Yeah.
But the reason why I was to bring it up though is like because I assume you haven't seen it. Is like Linus in that video said like he bought a copy from Nintendo but does not intend to play it on his Switch. He intends to emulate it. It's like, why would he not try and play it at more than 60 FPS instead of locked at 30?
All I'm saying is, from what I've seen, you can play Tears of the Kingdom at 4K 60 on a PC, and you can play it at like Switch settings on a Steam Deck, or potentially slightly above a Switch on the Steam Deck if you want a portable version of it. There's no point not to emulate your Switch games at this point.
Yeah, I think even if but I don't agree with piracy, it's like fine, buy the game yourself and then.
If you have an ethical problem with the piracy aspect, I'm gonna blow. I was explaining this to a friend the other day. he was like, "Oh, emulation is piracy." I'm like, no, that
Depends.
you can do piracy through emulation, but there's different types of emulation, and some people choose to do piracy
Yeah.
through emulation. But it's the same way. Like you can buy a kitchen knife to cut up food, or you could buy a kitchen
Yep.
knife to go and stab someone. I mean,
Yeah.
that you can just take the ROMs that you bought and dump them onto your computer, and
Yeah.
you can legally
And
pay
you are legally
the
allowed to do
software
that.
that
Like,
you owned.
yeah, it's a grey area,
There's
but
nothing
like
illegal about emulation.
no one's willing to pay money to see which way the courts will actually side with. So like, it's a grey area, which at the moment you have to assume that you have the right to do what you like with your own stuff. So if you do want to emulate it, like just buy the game and then emulate it. That's my opinion. I think that I probably will do that at some point because like looking at some of the Mario games on Switch, like it looks really good. So I do not want to you play it on a Switch either.
I've been playing like Super Mario Odyssey is really good. Metroid Dread's fucking good. Link's Awakening's really fucking good. The Kirby and the Forgotten Lands are really good.
I won't play Kirby.
So I can highly recommend a lot of Switch games, and I will say, choosing to emulate them instead will give you higher resolution and higher frame rate, and it's the preferred way to play.
Yeah, you can play it on PC or your Steam Deck. It's like, why would you not be able to choose a better way of playing?
Next up, we have Steam Deck news. Steam Deck's version of Dead by Daylight is now working on deck. The biggest thing stopping it was easy anti-cheat, but Behavior Interactive has said going forward, they are making it so it will always be compatible with their version of easy anti-cheat. Which is really, really cool.
So basically, loads of people. I assume they saw lots of people trying to play it, or they see a potential customer base that has a Linux PC in their pocket and actually supporting it. That is a huge development. I would say for Linux gaming.
Then we have Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy is verified on deck. I think it went on like a big sale as well when this happened. It went down to like 70% discount, and it's like a really cool game from what I saw.
I think this was good. Linear game, but that's not a bad thing.
I can't believe Gardeners of the Galaxy is like such a good game. And those bastards at Squeenix were like, this underperformed, it's shit.
Yeah.
So Mundfish has removed graphical options from the Steam Deck version of Atomic Heart. This is like one of the weirdest things that I've seen from a dev when it comes to the Steam Deck. And they've come back with an update saying, basically, they want to add like a specific game profile for the Steam Deck to get it like verified on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And they want to make it possible to add specific graphic settings relevant to the Steam Deck, but why do you need to remove the options of settings from the game to achieve that? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, I'm wondering if the way it's implemented is like not playing nice with like when they try and rebuild it on Linux or something, and then try to redo it. But it still seems weird. Like, why are you updating it for everyone to not have it? Like, just wait until you've got it working. Yeah, I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
So it says, if you boot it on Steam Deck, you have audio, gameplay, and controls, but you don't have access to any graphic settings at all, which is like the weirdest shit.
What?
Yeah.
Just don't lock it down. Just let people get their settings and have optimized settings from the community. What the hell?
So, like, CG Projekt Red recently created a preset for The Witcher 3 with their release of the new Witcher 3 update, the new engine, DX12. But you could still change the graphics settings at will. You could turn stuff down. You could turn stuff up. You could have control over your PC.
Locking down.
I don't know. Next up, we have Steam news. The Steam Store search has been updated. Thank God. This is so much more usable now. Quick search now includes tags, developers, publishers, and franchise, and is more forgiving with misspelt words.
Oh,
So if you're
thank God.
like, oh, I want to look up zombie games, if you type zombies into the search bar of the Steam store, it will look up every game that has the zombie in the title, but also every game that has zombies in the tag. So if I type zombies in, Dying Light will come up, for example, because
Yeah.
that's a popular zombie game. Let's try it out now, actually. Live on. Let's see Joe get proven wrong live on stream. We type zombies in. We have tag zombies. Then I click that, and then that will show takes us to a page with a zombie tag, and I can see Resident Evil 4, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, The Last of Us Part 1 comes up. So yeah, that's cool. I found the Steam search so much more usable, and in conjunction with like the Steam client itself being so much more snappier since they did the update to the Steam client, it feels so much better now. So
Yeah.
for the longest time, I've been using enhanced Steam on this. I pretty much only used the Steam store on the web client because of the features of the enhanced Steam extension makes it so much easier to use and so much better. Now, I'm finding myself like more willing to use the client version and the client being a lot more responsive. So it's nice to see. And it seems that now Steam offers 90-minute game trials, starting with Dead Space, the
Oh,
2023
nice.
version. You can play a timed 90-minute trial of the game itself, see if you would enjoy buying the full game. I guess this is like essentially a way
Easy
to
demo mode.
replace people who were basically playing games for 2 hours and then refunding them to be
Yeah.
like stay within the 2 hour window and then refund it and going, oh, I didn't like it that much. I tried it for a couple of hours. I guess it's like, well, if a lot of people want to try the game for like an hour and a bit, why don't we just add an official way to do that, and then we won't have to deal with all these refunds and stuff like that?
I think as well as like if there's a development team for whatever reason, which I partly disagree, but I do expect that it does cost more, like more development time to make a demo. If they don't want to make a demo, they can just use this system instead.
Yep.
I
Let's
think it's
move
really
on
cool.
to blunders. We have Overwatch 2.
No.
The only thing
Yeah,
in
I
this
saw
section, you
this.
can either write blunders or you can write Overwatch 2. I mean,
I'd call it blunders.
Overwatch 2's PvE game mode has officially been scrapped. So this is the mode
I'm
with
so
this.
disappointed.
I am so fucking disappointed by this. This is
I
the
really
mode
wanted the
with the
PvE
skill
mode.
trees, the story,
There's gonna be
the
co-op as well,
co-op
right?
missions. So I wrote down a bunch of notes while I was ranting about this in my head. Blizzard made Overwatch 2 5v5. They removed a player. They reduced shields. They removed hard CC across the board. They made soft CC less annoying. They removed a lot of shields to make the game less annoying, more fast, more fun. Um, they made the PvP aspect genuinely a lot more fun.
Yeah.
This was one of the big good things they did with the game when they moved to Overwatch 2. But the premise of Overwatch 2 was always we're basically going to release the PvP aspect now. It reminds me of like Star Citizen when they're like, we're going to release the non PvP module now, and then the PvP module will come later, and then
Yeah.
I feel like at some point Star Citizen's going to be like, we're scrapping the PvP module of Star Citizen and we're just focusing on
I
this.
believe they
Or
already have.
yeah, okay. But people were super hyped for the PvE stuff. I thought it looked awesome. I was like talking with my friends playing the game. It's like it's going to be so cool when the PvE comes out, so we can, have a different way to experience the game. Because a lot of my friends don't
I would
like to
actually play
play
it PvE.
competitively. They want to play like a PvE game mode where they're not felt compelled to, have to know everything about the game to be able to, even play at an acceptable rate. Because I had friends who just didn't really play PC games at all who wanted to play Overwatch 2 with us, and they
Yeah.
found it really hard to get in, even at the base level, just playing against random players.
Well, there's people like me. It's like I probably could play competitively, but I don't get anything about thinking about how other real players are doing it. I get much more fun of like trying
So
to think how to deal with
here's
AI.
the fucking bad they did with Overwatch 2. You used to buy the game and you could just earn skins by playing. I mean, you can
Yeah.
technically earn skins, but it's like you can earn an event skin once per event, and you have to do a bunch of challenges. The way it used to happen was there was loot boxes in the game, but I never bought a single loot box, and I had a ton of fucking skins in Overwatch 1 because you would level up and you would get a loot box and you would get new skins and you would get currency to spend on more stuff. They were like,
Yeah.
no, we're going
Because
to
you
make
bought the
it
game.
free to play, which I agree making it free to play was a good idea because it meant so many more people who never would have played the game played it. What they
Yeah.
did was like, they took the earning of skins and they basically went, hey, let's remove earning any skins, let's add battle passes,
Yeah.
shops with tons of microtransactions that are exclusive to the shop. And
My question
then,
is, I know the answer, but could they not have done like a free-to-play version and then a paid version? Let's say
they could have kept Overwatch 1 running
Yeah.
if they really wanted to, but
Yeah, you can still
obviously,
pay for it.
yeah.
They get way more money from it being a live service free-to-play than the normal.
I think the worst thing they did was new characters were added to the Battle Pass. I think this because I've been playing Overwatch 2 pretty much almost like daily, or at least like
Well, at
every
least a week.
at least most days of the week since it's been released. So like from October, I've been playing the game like most of the time for like 6 months or something crazy like that. And I was
not the only one in our like Discord group either.
Yeah, so I was really enjoying the game, but I felt like this most recent season, I was like, man, the new character is on the Battle Pass, and I have to get to Battle Pass tier 45, and I played a lot of the new season. I was like, I'm still not at there, and I still have to keep playing to unlock this character, and I just felt like so fatigued from doing this fucking Battle Pass shit over and over again just to play the new character that was the content update of the new season. I was like, fuck this shit, dude. Like, I'm going to play a game that respects the amount of time I put in it. I'm just going to go and play a single player game instead.
Yep.
Like, where I can actually have an impact on the world and feel like I'm doing something fulfilling to myself personally. And yeah, and this just feels like another blow to me wanting to play Overwatch 2. It's just like the big PvE game that I was looking forward to has been cancelled. Oh, another thing not to look forward to in Overwatch 2. But what happened was...
I personally was really looking forward to it. I don't play Overwatch 2 I don't play Overwatch at all competitively, so it's like this would have been a way to actually play.
So what happened was they started making a fuck ton of money from Overwatch 2's Battle Pass and microtransaction store. So we have a report here from Activision Blizzard that for the first time ever, Activision has made more money on PC than consoles. And this is like massively to do with the fact that Overwatch 2 was such a big success. Like World of Warcraft and Diablo 4 has been super popular this year as well, from the beta and people getting their pre-orders in and stuff like that. But it seems like Overwatch 2 has been one of the biggest contributors towards like them making so much money on PC. And so Blizzard has two game modes, right? They have a PvP game mode that is making money over fist, and they have a PvE game mode that doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
So, and also, on the other hand, from Blizzard devs, Blizzard is losing so many employees that it's having to create crisis maps of what it can and cannot ship. There seems to be a huge divide where many employees were employed to work from home during the COVID pandemic, and now Activision Blizzard is forcing employees to end full remote and come back into the office. And many are upset about this and are leaving. We have a post here from an Overwatch 2 developer saying, I want to openly voice my dissatisfaction from return to office policies. We shipped Overwatch 2 during the work from home model. We continue to put out quality content because we love the game as much as the community does. And yeah, basically, a lot of devs just don't want to return to the office.
Because if you can VPN to like your business servers, like I'm not saying like everyone can like work from home 100% of the time. Like I could foresee like people having to come in for a day or something. But like if the majority of your work hour or work days you can like work from home and still be as productive. Again, I get there's some that you can't do, but if you could optimize to do that, you save so much time from commuting. Like your days are effectively shorter with the same amount of work.
So let's have a look at this from Blizzard's perspective quickly, and then we'll talk about it from the player's perspective. So
Yeah.
Blizzard right now, they have developers leaving left and right. They're making crisis plans, at least on the World of Warcraft team. I'm assuming based on the fact that so many developers are leaving, this is massively affecting the Overwatch 2 team as well.
Isn't Overwatch team smaller than World of Warcraft
yes,
as well?
World of Warcraft team historically has always been the biggest team at Blizzard. So I'm guessing if people are leaving the World of Warcraft team, Blizzard is probably pulling people from other teams to come and fill the gaps for World of Warcraft. Maybe that's not the
100%.
case. Maybe people are filling the gaps for Overwatch 2 now.
It would make where I was making money, yeah.
So, the developers leaving left and right, a PvE game mode that still needs development and doesn't exist right now, and on the other hand, they have a PvP game mode that exists and is making a ton of money. From a capitalist viewpoint, it makes complete sense to completely scrap the PvE game and say, let's double down on PvP, let's keep this gravy train rolling, let's keep making money. From a player's point of view, as for someone who's excited to play the PvE, this fucking sucks.
But I would say, like, there's another way to look at it. I know there's like a sunken cost fallacy thing here, but surely a lot of development time has been put into this. Like, surely you're just losing all of that.
From some of the stuff I've read from sources inside, it seems like a lot of the developers, if they had the backing of Activision Blizzard and the resources and the development team and stuff like that, they want to resurrect like Project Titan, like the Overwatch MMO that was going to be before Overwatch 2. Overwatch got turned into a class-based PvP game. They want to make these big like PvE experiences, but they just can't, and it just fucking sucks. Like, everything's going on. I mean, Blizzard have put out a new roadmap, basically, because they had a roadmap saying PvE is coming at this point, and they've basically had to completely change that now. So they're saying, like, here's the events we've got coming. We've got, like, Cinematic, Summer Games Fest, and they said, like, we're going to make new characters, we're going to do character rework, stuff like that. They said they still want to try and do some sort of PvE stuff where it's not going to be the full co-op skill tree based stuff, but they still want to try and do story missions, and they still want to try and do like the PvE content stuff they've done in the past. But
like event stuff, isn't the other like fuck you with this that they knew about this in December?
I think they've known this for a long time, but they were really scared of community backlash.
Well, they wanted. Well, there's a lot of positive traction with Overwatch 2 when it came released. They didn't want to like remove it. Like they're making so much money from it.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know if this is a good point to do it, or I feel like the game's going on, it's trucking on. They haven't disrupted the huge momentum they've been getting from Twitch. I mean, I think the hype is like dwindling for Overwatch 2 now. Like after, like even before this was announced, it's not getting it's not getting the big Twitch numbers like it used to. Not as many people are like, oh, I need to stream Overwatch 2 other than the people, you know, who were daily streaming it. But yeah, I don't know, man.
I think the grind, the fact that the ultimate like the fatigue of the grind as well isn't going to help.
It sucks, man, because I've got so many friends who are like, Joe, when are you going to come back and play Overwatch 2? And my honest to God answer is, I don't want to, but I would still like to play games with you because that's fun. And right now, you only seem to want to play Overwatch 2, so it kind of just sucks, you know? Yeah. Let's move on to tech. Logitech has partnered with iFixit for self-repairs. I was going to say really positive things about Logitech. I was going to say, Tony, you were ranting because your mouse dongle broke, and you were saying there was no way to replace it. And I was going to be like, they're doing stuff with iFixit to do these repair guides and offer more spare parts. And then literally before I said this, the dongle to my Logitech headset broke, and I need a spare part for it that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but the spare parts will exist for other products that don't sell anymore.
They are working on this. So far, starting this summer, the Logitech MX Master and MX Anywhere mouse will be the first model to receive spare parts through iFixit, which is a good first step.
Expand later.
And then I hope very quickly we get into stuff like, okay, wireless dongles seem to be the big thing that breaks first. Like wireless
they
dongles should
need
be
to get
first.
wireless dongles and have a
But,
tool
like,
to repair dongles. They
but
need
then like
software.
we want to see stuff like G Pro mouses. We want to see like G Pro headsets. We want to
And
see like
buttons and scroll wheels and things.
the common stuff like that you can do. Like I went on Logitech's website to look for spare parts and repair guides and stuff like that. I thought the repair guides iFixit has now are actually pretty good from what I saw from like the ones that don't have official spare parts yet. Like their breakdowns of how to fix stuff is really cool already.
Yeah.
Which
I
I was
think
like,
it just means that you can get the parts easier. That's really what the partnership will entail.
yeah. They're showing you how to like, oh, you've got a fucked up battery, and you're like, this is a headset I used to have, the G935. I think this is a good headset, but I think I had to like the top of it snapped, and I think if your headset can, was either the top of it snapped, or I think maybe I had like battery issues. I'm not sure, but like if that thing was still working, I would love to replace the battery on this thing. I think that would be like a great thing.
Because battery's
to
gonna be the
replace.
first thing to break.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I think iFixit is a very good company. I think
it's good that they're working with them. Like,
yeah, that's why like to me like Valve partnering like from day one with the Steam Deck, in my opinion, was a really big deal. And it's like the fact they actually want to make it repairable, like that actually didn't feel like just a PR stunt. Like it
yeah.
felt
So
real.
I'm really hoping that the first wave does well, and we actually get
more.
Get more. I want to see more.
Because at the moment the parts are not for products of Logitech I own, and I don't really care. It doesn't seem to me not popular product to me.
We got technical specs and the reviews out for the Asus ROG Ally. It's coming June 13th for $700. It is like $50 more than the top of the range Steam Deck.
Right. I really wanna. I know this is really hard to do right now, but I'm really curious to know like how well it would run. I know you have to compile this yourself, but how well it would run SteamOS, because that's what I really want to.
Yeah, that's the like biggest question mark. But why is this not running SteamOS?
Because they haven't. Valve have not completed the like a universal install for like a Linux distribution yet. It's like it's very hardware specific, and it's very hard to make it like hardware agnostic.
We've talked about the ROG Ally briefly before on the podcast,
Yes.
But if you're not up to date, the biggest difference is the Steam Deck has a Zen 2 CPU. It's the custom AMD Van Gogh chip with 4 cores, 8 threads, with RDNA 2 graphics, whereas the ROG Ally is running on the new AMD Z1 Extreme, which is running on Zen 4 CPU and Zen RDNA 3 graphics, which features an 8-core CPU with 16 threads, which boosts up to 5 gigahertz, up from the 3.6 of the Steam Deck. Other than that, I think the RAM is slightly faster. You're getting 16 gigabytes of low-profile DDR5. It's going up to 6,400 mega transfers from 5,500. But the big upgrade is that you are getting a 1080p screen at 120 hertz, which is kind of nuts. I think it feels very overkill for a system this size. Like,
yeah, but if you got plugged in though, you could use that, right?
Yeah, so the way it works is the ROG Ally has a bunch of modes. So it has a 15-watt mode, a 20-watt mode, and a turbo mode, which I believe is like
30 watts, I thought.
30 watts. And then there's a
turbo
plugged-in mode, which runs at like 40 watts, I believe.
Yeah, 35 to 40, I think. I saw people say.
But if you can do some basic maths, both the Steam Deck and the Asus ROG Ally have a 40 watt hour battery. So if you're running the ROG Ally at 40 watts, you do the math on how long the battery is going to last.
Yeah, and it's at 1080p. It's insane. Like you want to put it down to 720 class. Sort of
I don't know if you have seen the Digital Foundry video on this. I know it was delayed because he talked about it. Rich was on holiday, or he was.
I haven't watched that, but I watched the LTT comparison between the two.
But they were basically saying, look at like 15 watts, just how ridiculously optimized the Steam Deck is. it
I'm not.
kind
I'm gonna
of
say that's going to
matches or
be honest
goes
with you.
slightly above the Steam Deck. At like
Yeah.
8 watts, the Steam Deck destroys the ROG Ally in terms of efficiency. And then when you
Yeah.
push it above, that's when, you start to get these appreciable gains of like 10 to 15% performance, but at like massive costs of battery life. Like, it
Yeah.
seems like the Steam Deck, even though it's on like 2 generations behind architecture,
There was some
is
magic
is still like
competitive.
is still pushing the chip to the best of its abilities while still being efficient. Like, it shows that you can't just put more power into these chips and expect them to just like give you massive
Mm.
numbers by just shoving all of this extra electricity into them. And it's something we've
But
seen like even with consumer chips. It's like the 13 series Intel and like the
yeah,
AMD chips are like they're already run at like
more.
their maximum. Like the 4090. I don't know if you've seen the LTT video where they turn up the power limit. It's like it barely runs faster. They're already like running it to like its max or like as much
Yeah.
as like turning up the power is not just like free
Uh,
FPS. You get like so much more FPS just by turning this shit up. It's more
I know.
about being efficient,
Yeah. I know. I know you're not a
especially on
laptop
handheld
person.
consoles.
Yeah, I know you're not a laptop person, but it's the reason why, like, when I'm looking at laptops now, I'm like, I look at Intel and go, why the hell would I go an Intel laptop? AMD's mobile chips are so much more efficient. Like, it just gives you way more battery life.
But it
Yeah,
seems like
I would say though, I think it's not like a slam dunk everything. I don't think it's a loss and everything. Like to me, it's like depends what you're going for. Like it's smaller and quieter.
yeah,
I
so
like
it's
Linus is
smaller and
saying.
it's a lot quieter. Yeah, that's
I think
been
this is fantastic though, because like you can still play your Steam games on this. Like it's still
yeah
like and again, I know there's issues with this, and I really want Valve to release a proper installation, like an non ISO, because that's a
yeah
Microsoft thing, but like a proper installation tool like of a Steam OS, like that would be great because
like a
I'd love to
distro.
see how that works. Yeah, yeah, proper distro installation disk image sort of thing instead of like having to hack it from GitHub, which you have to do at the moment.
Um, yeah, so for me, I'm like it's really cool to see this technology. I think it as like a Steam Deck owner, it's really cool to see this. It doesn't make me want to get an ROG Ally, and I don't think I would want to get an ROG Ally um, without already owning a Steam Deck. If I was like, oh, I'm into handheld gaming, but I want to try something out, I would honestly be looking still at the efficiency and the battery because they
Yeah,
tested out because like for the Digital Foundry analysis, they ran the games uncapped at uh, to see how long the batteries would last, and the Steam Deck won uncapped, and then they were like, well, let's put a 30 FPS lock on it because then what will happen, presumably, with the ROG
more
Ally will
efficient.
come out ahead because it's
It's more
having to
efficient for
use
what?
less power and
Yeah.
processing in order to get to that 30 FPS. And it wasn't even close. The Steam Deck came out ahead again with the 30 FPS
Yeah.
cap. So like,
I think
there's
they've
some
optimized it for
there's some
those
crazy
settings.
like OS overhead and Valve engineering that's
Yeah.
going behind the Steam Deck where for
Well,
like
these are the Arch Linux is very slim under the hood, like in terms of like resource usage. So I think that's, and
yeah.
also I think Valve has done a lot of effort to like like turn off things that are not needed, like to make it more efficient and more
So
snappy. So
looking at the because like the interviews from Valve since Steam Deck were coming out were like, hey, there's these new APUs, the 7000 series or whatever, right?
yeah,
Or the what's it? There's the 6000 series APUs or whatever, right? We're putting like the Aya Neos and stuff like that. The Ryzen 7 6800U, and they were like, "Are you gonna make a new Steam Deck with this new APU?" And Valve were like, "No, right now we're more interested in battery life. We're more interested in
yeah.
being efficient, building out SteamOS and working on Linux and stuff. And it makes sense. Like, I don't think Valve's looking at the AMD Z1 Extreme and going, "Oh, we need to make a new Steam Deck based on this." I think they're
No,
waiting for the
it makes
next
sense,
chip
man.
that's even more efficient than this one, where they can get
Well,
even better performance at lower thermals
I
than
think as
this,
well they have to also
lower
think about like
TDP.
I have a funny feeling it's going to take like 5 years before we see that because like I think they need to think about like how much time and energy and then like effort it took to make for this one. It's like then to redesign a whole new chip. Like I think it makes sense to leave it for a bit. Like like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I think we need to look at it in terms of like console generations for this because it really
Yeah.
is. It is a PC, but it is also like a console PC.
Well, I
So
find
I
it
think
really
you have to
funny
treat it like
that
that.
the Steam Deck is more like the console experience compared to the kind of more
Yes.
rough around the edges Windows version of um, the SteamOS is just like a very good
Yeah.
out of the
Which is
box
why
console
I'm really
experience.
curious to know Asus ROG Ally with SteamOS. But again,
But yeah,
we're still
so
waiting for Valve.
my end point of this was I would love to see the Asus Ally running SteamOS, and I
Yeah.
would love to see Windows come out with because they tease this, a version of Windows that is completely built for a handheld gaming system. I think that would be super interesting to see, where we can get some of these like annoying power management shit that Windows does and just completely optimize that for handheld gaming and running
I
it in
think.
like because one of the selling points of Windows 11 was like, oh, it's great for tablets now, but
Mhm.
it just doesn't seem like it's great
No,
for
I'm gonna say
handheld
no.
gaming at all.
I do not have my problem with Microsoft is that they ever since Windows 8 and I've been watching old NCIS episodes and they're trying to
Yeah,
push like Windows 8 tablets. It's hilarious product placement. Um, I'm just gonna say now I don't think Microsoft and Windows has ever worked well with tablets, and I do not have any faith that they will be. I mean, I'm happy to be proven wrong. They bring stuff out. I think it's good that they're making like a handheld mode for
yeah.
Windows. But I don't know. I would rather. I'm way more excited to try and see if like I would love like Valve to come out and say, "Oh, we've partnered with Asus to get SteamOS to run." That would be great.
Hmm.
Because and it's in their.
Well,
I don't know if it's their best interest to get some.
Asus has not been very
No,
popular recently with the whole 3D cached CPUs
and the way they've handled warranties and
burning and
beta
stuff like that.
firmware, yeah.
Okay. Next up, we have tech slash Nvidia, I guess. Nvidia has announced the RTX 4060 and the RTX 4060 Ti, or sorry, Ti.
Yeah.
They will be arriving May 24th for $400 for the
Oh, a couple of
4060
days.
Ti, and the RTX 4060 will be $300 and will be releasing later. So the 4060 Ti will be releasing at 8 GB.
Yeah,
For
there's two models, an 8 and a 16 GB variant.
Oh, Tony, this is interesting to note though. The UK actually gets an £11 discount on the dollar price of the 8 GB version of the 4060 Ti, which is like
The TI,
the
nice.
the first time this has happened in a long time. So many of these card launches have been, this card costs $400, it costs £400. Now they're actually trying to take regional pricing into account.
Huge. Why did it take them so long to actually do that? That's crazy.
But yeah, because we've had a lot of discussion recently in the gaming community about 8 GB not being enough for a modern graphics
Well,
processor. It is a
for
60
high-end
tier.
cards.
It is a 60 tier card, but they're doing this weird thing where they're making an eight. They're releasing the 8 GB version first this month, and then next
Yeah.
month you'll be able to spend an extra $100, and you'll get a 16 GB version as well if you want
But
to
there
purchase
won't be a
that.
Founders 16 GB.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I think in my opinion, I think for anything above 4060, like 4070 and above, like I think it needs to be at least 10 GB, if not 12.
But we
I
got
think when it
some.
comes to like what resolutions you can push with a 4060 class card, I think at the
Yeah.
moment it makes sense for it to remain at 8 GB. I think that makes
Did
a
you
lot of
see the
sense.
graphs that Nvidia put out for these cards? Because they
Yes.
confused the fuck out of me. Because they put like
Well,
DLSS 3 gen performance on
yeah.
these, and I was like, why would
Ignore
they?
the with frame
Because
gen.
they're comparing the 3060 and the 2060, but these cards don't have frame gen.
Yes, that's why I'm ignoring it. It's really dumb. Also, frame gen I think is a really cool, but I don't think it's a perfect implementation yet, and not every game has it.
So Nvidia is claiming that the 4060 Ti is 1.5 times faster than the 3060 Ti, and
So for the same price, like on launch, which is good.
and 1.6 X faster than the 2062, but this is based on Nvidia's benchmarks, not third-party
Yes.
benchmarks, and the RTX 4060 is 1.2 faster than the RTX 3060 and 1.6x faster than the RTX 2060.
Can I just say it's good to actually comparing it to the previous generation card instead of the 1060 that they were doing for the fucking 4070? It's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. That's the
Wait,
people that
isn't the
people upgrade from. But
3060 the card that has multiple graphic VRAM SKUs? How many 3060s are there?
3060s or 4060s.
3060s.
I
Didn't
don't
they
know.
release like a bigger VRAM version of the
Yeah, there's a
3060?
second TI version.
So, Michael, which one are they comparing it to? The one with more VRAM or the one with less VRAM?
I'm assuming the one with more VRAM, but I could be completely wrong then. I know they re-released the second one.
Anyway, we'll have to wait and see. Like,
Yeah, we
obviously,
need third-party
we're going to
verify
be
anyway.
getting the 4060 Ti with 8 gigabytes first, and then we'll see if the 16 gigabytes of memory makes a bigger gap at that performance level once we get that out in
that
July,
resolution
and we'll
it can
see
push.
like the difference between the Ti and the non-Ti version.
Yep.
When those release in July. Next up, we have business news. Atari announces acquisition of M Network Atari 2600 title and related trademarks. So, Atari's on a shopping spree. Their collection of fan favorites Armor Ambush, Astro Blast, Frogs and Flies, Space Attack, and Star Strike. Nothing I've ever heard of, but I'm assuming if you were alive back then, this is probably some interesting games. PlayOn the Cock is restructuring. So PlayOn layoffs plans. Publisher formerly known as Cock Media will merge Deep Silver, Prime Matter, and Ravenscore under a single brand in order to better restructure their brands, I guess. Private Division has announced a publishing partnership with Game Freak. I don't know what the fuck Private Division is doing with the fucking creators of Pokemon, but it seems like they're working on a brand new IP.
Who's a Private Division known for?
I remember them as being the people who published the Outer Worlds.
Right.
And then did that awful new edition of the Outer Worlds, the Spacer's Choice edition.
Yeah.
I think they're mostly a publisher, but I don't know if they also have developers. They're owned by their parent organization is Take-Two.
Okay.
They mostly do publishing. I don't know if they have that, but it seems like they're a publishing label, so they're going to publish a new game from Game Freak. Is how it's going to work.
Right.
So we'll have
We
to
don't
see
know anything else about it.
No, I don't think so. They unveiled a piece of concept art. That's it. Yeah.
Good.
EA CEO has said video games will be one of the greatest beneficiaries of AI, according to a Q4 earnings report. It seems EA is going to go all in on AI. Another great thing that EA loves to do.
I like how they're not explaining what they mean by how they're going to use AI. It's just like, yeah, it will have AI, buzzword, AI.
Yeah.
It's the new
NFT. It's the new NFT buzzword.
I think AI has more benefits than like NFTs.
I think AI is way more interesting than like fucking blockchain technology, metaverse shit.
Yeah, absolutely. But I still don't want to hear it from an executive that has no idea how it's going to be implemented.
I don't know if you heard about this, but this is quite big news. Amazon Games and Embracer Group, Middle Earth Enterprises, have struck a deal for the new Lord of the Rings game, and it's going to be an MMO based on the Lord of the Rings. Tony, I wonder if there's already an MMO based on Lord of the Rings that already exists.
that
I'm
people
glad
like.
you asked, Tony, because Lord of the Rings Online does already exist. But
Yes, I know people like it.
we have a
Well,
post here
sort of.
from Lord of the Rings Online stating that they will be staying around for at least a little bit longer as this new MMO comes out. Apparently, the Amazon boss said he just expects fans to just move over from the previous Lord of the Rings MMO. So if they just, their idea is that they'll just make a new Lord of the Rings MMO, and anyone who's currently playing the really old Lord of the Rings MMO, Lord of the Rings Online, will just move over, which I think as
Yeah,
a statement is kind of funny to
it's the
say,
cult. Yeah,
but I do think there is like a grain of truth to that, where I think a lot of the
yeah.
people who were playing that old game probably will try this new game, at least give it a go.
I think the problem is, okay, I could see people moving over, but I think it's such a cult classic in a way that it's like I think
Yeah,
there's always going to be a player base of some kind.
yeah. I think it's cool that they said they still want to support Lord of the Rings Online
Yeah,
from the developers, so that's cool to see. I hopefully
like
that carries
if
on.
this new game's great, they'll move over, sure, as long as it like scratches all the itches they
Well,
have. But if
what do
it's
you think about?
different,
Okay, so clearly we know that Amazon can make an MMO because we've seen New World. It's being made by the New World Development Studio, so we know
right?
they have a team on there that can make a somewhat competent MMO.
In
And
terms of technical world like stability, yes.
hmm,
But
but
but we haven't really seen like proper stories or like questing though.
as somebody who's seen what Amazon has done with the Lord of the Rings IP in their
Yeah,
TV show, I'm just currently wondering what the hell kind of story they're going to want to tell with this
I
because
will. I have a little bit more hope because I don't like obviously like modern Star Wars, like the new Star Wars trilogy, right? The sequels,
yeah.
like awful plot points. But like I have more faith in like game developers making Star Wars stories than I do filmmakers or showrunners. Some hope because they normally just like they add stuff that they realize like oh it's kind of like an alpha versus beta sort of like universe. They kind of then they kind of revere the original IP with more respect, I think, than the showrunners. So I have more faith, but it depends how much top-down influence from the bosses there is, and how much they are like, oh no, you have to add content from the Rings of Power TV show.
I hope that they take those really low quality JPEG images they made for
Oh
the
yeah,
Amazon Watch My Chat and they add them to the game. Maybe you can type them in the
yeah, the
chat there as
hammers,
well. Hammers in the chat.
yeah,
Man, I want this to succeed. I think New
yeah.
World is an interesting MMO, and
I think in terms of base mechanics, yes, but in terms of like actual gameplay and like grind and loop,
I think
kind of fell flat.
if they can make like a solid base for an MMO, I think people will play the hell out of like a new Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
MMO. I mean,
If they
I'm
can add
interested to
story to the
try
base
it.
they have, that would be huge.
I'd be interested to try it. It seems
Yeah.
pretty. It seems like a good idea. So
If they learn from their mistakes and respect the OP, I think this could potentially be not just good, I think potentially be really good.
yeah, because I think recently, like Embracer, they did a deal with Amazon with Tomb Raider because they basically they got Tomb Raider from and what else did they got Deus Ex from Squeenix. They were selling it, and then they immediately flipped it to Amazon for more money. The Tomb
Yeah.
Raider. I
Yeah.
think they still have like Deus Ex, right? Or did they allow
think
them to form their
so.
own company? I don't actually remember.
I think there's talks about it. Did we learn anything more from that? I thought it was like just that's what people kind of wanted. That's Eidos, isn't it?
Uh, Eidos Montreal now owns the games developed by Deus Ex and the Thief games. So I think they
Okay.
made it so they now owned it. But then I think did Eidos Montreal got bought up by Embracer? I don't know. I think that means like they can do whatever they want with those under their own label, but still Embracer's kind. I think Embracer's pretty like hands off, and they're just more interested in making like remakes and profiting off that. and it seems like they've been like just flipping studios to Amazon recently. So
Yeah.
I have to see what's going on there. But moving to our final topic for you, and we got some Dead by Daylight news. The big Dead by Daylight thing is Dead by Daylight put out a trailer, right? And it's just called Nicolas Cage. And I have no fucking idea what this is about. It just says Nicolas Cage teaser, and I'm hoping this means but they don't say new survivor. So I'm really hoping Nicolas Cage is just the new killer in Dead by Daylight. That would be fucking hilarious. Apparently, we're going to learn more on July 5th. Hopefully, I mean, I was
That's
personally
great.
hoping for a Gremlins killer, but I'll take a Nicolas Cage killer in Dead by
Yeah.
Daylight. That's a fantastic idea.
Nicolas Cage is a living meme and a living legend.
Next up, we have they put a trailer for their new DLC, End Transmission, which adds the Singularity, which is this weird, like, parasitic robot futuristic monster. Looks really cool, going more like an alien sort of theme. And then the new
Right.
survivor, Gabriel Sommer, and the Toba landing map, which looks like a really, really cool new setting. A lot of the time we have like asylums, schoolhouses, churches, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it feels like they're more
Graveyard.
branching out like creatively when it comes to the maps here, which is why I wanted to talk about this. It looks like a
That's
really
really
awesome
cool.
map. It reminds me of like that Dead by Daylight Predator game. What was it called?
Wait, so it
Um,
rebuilds itself out of organic stuff? What the hell's going on?
called Predator Hunting Grounds. That was like a asymmetric like PvP game. That's coming June 13th. That looks really cool.
So this isn't based on like a many current IP. It's like their own stuff, is it?
Yeah, this is original
It is really
IP.
cool.
So
I like
yeah,
that.
I think they did a really good job here, coming up with a new killer and a new
Yeah.
theme.
Yeah.
I love sci-fi horror stuff, so I'm down
Yeah,
for them
yeah.
to add more sci-fi horror stuff rather than the traditional horror stuff they've been doing.
Yeah, I mean the genre stuff's good, but yeah, having like a more
And
diverse
then
horror is good.
we have new Dead by Daylight games in development at Supermassive Games and Midwinter Entertainment. So if you don't know, Supermassive Games are the creators of Until Dawn, the Dark Pictures anthology, The Quarry that just came out. And essentially, if they're going to be making a Dark Pictures anthology style game in the Dead by Daylight universe, that sounds like a match made in heaven. That sounds like a really good idea. I love both of those games. So
Mm.
that sounds like a really, really good idea. Hopefully, that will turn out really well. And then I looked, and if you don't know Midwinter Entertainment, don't worry, neither did I. I looked them up. Apparently, they made a free-to-play battle royale game called Scavengers, and as we know, battle royale games are doing pretty well right now that aren't called Fortnite. So or Apex Legends, I should say.
Well,
Like
the I think isn't like
PUBG's doing okay.
Call of Duty's one doing okay as well. I thought Warzone.
Warzone's kind of like I know a lot of people are very unhappy with Warzone at the moment.
Okay, I thought people were happy because people still played a lot of it. So
Yeah, it's still quality. The problem is, if it was another battle royale game, I think it wouldn't be doing so popular. But the problem is, it's still Call of Duty, so
yeah,
people will just
people
keep
like Call
playing
of
Call
Duty.
of Duty no matter what.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just the name. I think there's like a core mechanic that I think people really like.
Yeah, and then let's move on to the Peter Molydeux tweet and then the podcast, so we can. Oh, here's the Scavengers. It's on Steam. It looks like a battle royale game with PvE that
When did
apparently
it come
has.
out? 21.
It came out in 2020, and its servers have shut down on December 16th, 2022. It's no longer available on the Steam store. So that just goes to show you how successful these battle royale games are, guys. Emoji on Twitter. Let's have a quick read. I couldn't fix a bug where the player falls through certain floors. I've decided to just turn it to a new ability called Descend. There it is, guys. anyone's been playing Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts Elf Edition, there's an ability in that called Ascend, which I think is a really funny way to just instead of getting the player to no-clip upwards, you can just go, it's an ability, just go flying upwards. You can check us out, the Inbetween podcast, at Everything Inbetween, youtube.com/at Everything Inbetween podcast is watch the VODs on YouTube, twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch live and spam emojis of my face, and at Scorn2000 on Twitter if you want to follow me there for some reason, and as well, shows.acast.com/everything-inbetween-podcast. If you want to go on there, click on the episode you want to listen to. There will be a link to the Spotify version and the Apple Podcast version. There is an audio version of this podcast as well, if you want to listen to it on your phone, in the car. I personally listen to most of my podcasts when I'm out on my bike. So, yeah, if you want to listen to the audio version,
Not
it's
in
there.
your car. I thought
I listen to them when I'm in Tony's car.
Okay.
We will see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.